Hello friends, namaste. So today we're going to talk about some smoking herbs, and I'm going to make a little smoking blend with you. And I have a lot of herbs here, and there are so many reasons that you might want to invoke the power, the healing power of these herbs. So like setting an intention kind of before you make your smoking blend. Maybe you're just experimenting and you want to just like throw some herbs together and just see how it goes, or maybe you want it to help you to quit smoking, or like heal a long-standing infection in your lungs, bring up some like mucus and help it be an expectorant. There are lots of reasons that people employ and use smoking herbs. So yeah, I really loved to smoke for a long time in my life. I am embarrassed to say just how long when I started smoking tobacco. I was really young. I grew up in a household where there was cigarettes being smoked inside the home, and almost every adult that I knew smoked tobacco. I had an on and off adult relationship with tobacco. I probably quit smoking, maybe like 20 to 50 times, maybe more. And, like going through pregnancies and breastfeeding and stuff, I had like really cut down, but like I quit during that time actually. But then I kind of picked it back up, and it wasn't until I went to Peru and sat with a shaman and saw like the difference in these types of tobacco. So there was what is smoked in the US is Nicotina tabacum, and then what is smoked down there is Nicotina rustica, and that's the mapacho. And the mapacho just completely changed my relationship with tobacco. And then after I smoked the rustica species, I no longer could really tolerate tobacco, American grown tobacco anymore. So I kind of just like, but I still like to smoke. And so it took me a while to kind of like transition. I brought back some mapacho with me from Peru, and I was using that for a while. But, tobacco is a very strong, powerful plant. It's a power plant. And as some of these plants can be considered like psychoactive and stuff, they are much more subtle. I mean, most of them are not, but like, let's say like the wormwood here is, considered a somewhat psychoactive plant, and but it's going to be much gentler than tobacco. So I do have an herb here that fills the nicotine receptors. So if you are looking for something that fills your nicotine receptors and gives you that pull that like tobacco fills, then yeah, you might want to experiment with lobelia. So lobelia, I like to grind it up, and I have some main herbs that I use, like like mullein will be like my base herb, and then I'll just put like smaller amounts of these stronger herbs in, because these on their own, like lobelia say, or like any of the mints, they're all very strong herbs. So so like the main herbs I'll use for the most of the consistency is like mullein, which is a very gentle, nourishing herb. And then I'll have marshmallow leaf, not the root, but the leaf is another very nice, gentle herb. Some of the mints that I really like to work with, you can work with any of them. Like garden mints are amazing for smoking herbs, like thyme, rosemary, sage, and then like some of like the more medicinal style herbs. Not that those herbs are not very medicinal in themselves, but like skullcap is another one, and this is, I have a small amount of ground up skullcap here. Holy basil, motherwort, lemon balm, catnip. All of those mints are going to be fabulous, like additional herbs. You can smoke like a whole catnip cigarette, you know, to relieve period pain, but I like to do a little mix, like an intuitive mix. So I have like all these kind of herbs on hand, and you know, depending on what I'm going for that day, I will mix them accordingly. So I have also some CBD flower here, which is really a nice kind of pain relieving, mellow herb to work with. These herbs are all very kind of hairy and dry, so I'm getting them caught in my throat. Another nice base herb is nettle. Nettle is very soothing and gentle herb to smoke. And then if you're looking for like a dream herb and something that's like more, you know, like getting you into like an altered state of consciousness, working on, you know, like setting up protection and wanting to invoke spirit in a different way, you know, Crohn's wort, mugwort, whatever you want to call it, Artemisia vulgaris, a wonderful herb for spiritual use. And smoking some of this before bedtime, I like to do a little mix with it. So I'll put like a little bit of mullein and some of this all ground up, and I'll smoke that. One of a very, very lovely, lovely herb is this wonderful. She's so sweet, so gentle, so loving. Oh my God, Zaya Mays corn silk is a beautiful herb to smoke. I like to put this in my blends just to, you know, sweeten things up and just have that embrace of like the gentle mother spirit of the corn. Oh my gosh, she is, if you could smell that, you would understand. And then another plant family that I love to work with in smoking blends is the rose family. And this is wild strawberry, a very nice herb to use in your smoking blend. Antibacterial and astringent, gets into the lungs, and roses. Some people smoke like raspberry leaf. I love roses. These are probably my two favorite, are the strawberry leaf and flower. There's some flower in there, and rose. You can put a little leaf in there and the flowers. So, what else do I have here? I have a little sumac, and I ground a little bit up. And this is a very traditional smoking herb to East Europe and Eastern Europe. It's a beautiful plant that, excuse me. Okay. Oh, and Uva ursi. Uva ursi is also known as kinnikinnick, and it's a Native American herb, and I just grind it up, and this is, kinnikinnick means like that it's a smoking herb. It's a traditional herb that they use for smoking, and yeah, it's a wonderful herb. I mean, it has other uses as a urinary tonic and healing bladder infections and stuff like that. So, but also wonderful to smoke. So I just want to give you a little example of mixing some herbs. We'll just make a small amount today. And so my base is mullein, and I would like to add some of the lobelia as well, because I really like that nicotine receptors to be filled. I just like that pull that it gives, so it doesn't just smell, it's not just like smoking air. So we'll put a little bit of that in there, and I just kind of cover the mullein and then mix it up so it kind of coats the mullein, because this is like a ground powder, if you can see that. It's a ground powder. And then for a little bit of flavor, I'm gonna put some of the holy basil in there, because holy basil, this is the Krishna basil. Radha basil, because I like, you know, they only represent the gods, but, you know, the goddesses are in there, and these are actually emanations of the goddess, and I think that we should start calling them by their proper names, because the gods get all the credit, you know? So, there's that, and what else do we want to put in here? Let's see, let's just add a little of this sumac for fun, because it's a little pink, and it's beautiful. And let's see, I think that might be pretty yummy. I'm gonna put a little bit of the corn silk in there. So as you see, it's like just like kind of like a little intuitive play. I mean, I have some recipes that I stick with for like my blends that I sell and stuff, but as far as like for personal use, you know, if I want to just, it's like just a little creative process. And so that little bit of corn silk also goes a long way. And I am going to put some of this strawberry leaf and flower in there. Are these beautiful little delicate flowers. Beautiful little delicate flowers. We'll just grind those up in there. And then no CBD today. And I'm not really feeling like I want to do any of the artemisias today, but oh, so lovely. These smell so good, and I encourage you to experiment with them. But this is what we're going to do today. Just feeling light and gentle today, like just not too much internal work going on today. So the question came up, what do I use to roll my cigarettes with? And this is by the company Raw, and it's made out of hemp plastic, and it's a hemp plastic cigarette rolling machine. And you can just buy these on the internet for really cheap, or at like a tobacco store, or a dispensary if you live in a state like that, which I do. So what I do is I just fill this with, and there's always like a little bit of chunky parts from like the mullein and stuff, so I try to pull those out. And because this is so dry, I like to use the rolling machine. I mean, like, if you're rolling up some buds, you know, it's like usually a little stickier with all those resins in there and stuff, but these plants don't have that, except for the CBD is pretty resinous. You know, this, like, I ground some of this buds up. It smells really good. That's an AC/DC variety that's a really nice high CBD variety. Okay, oops, I put in backwards. So I put the paper in there, and now it just rolls, hopefully. Oh, it went in there a little sideways. It's a little tricky, and of course it's not that smooth when I'm doing it on camera, but that's okay. And so just roll it up. And it comes out like really nice. It has a nice consistency. And so let's see how this burns and tastes. And I think smoke is just really special, of like taking us into places with plants, that bringing them like fully into our bodies in this like very spiritual way. Like there's like a subtlety to it that shamans have used throughout time to commune with the spirits of the plants and commune with spiritual energy in general. It kind of thins that veil between the living and the dead, and brings us into a state of shared harmony with the spirit world. And having plants that, you know, alter you in a way that's like subtle to get into those states rather than overpowering you to a place of not being able to get into those spaces. Sometimes, you know, with power plants, they can initially take you into those places, but they can also block you from those places really easily. So finding plants to work with that, you know, not only grow around you, but you can work with in a more subtle way, I find really amazing. And to replace tobacco, whew, that's amazing as well. You know, these are medicinal plants, and I believe that tobacco, you know, like that rustica variety I was talking about from Peru, can be used, you know, medicinally, but yeah, I mean, just gentler, and these taste really good. And they smell good, and I don't mind getting them all over my body. I don't mind bathing my spirit in them. I don't mind like them communing me with the environment around me. Whereas like tobacco, you know, a lot of times I don't like that smell, or even cannabis can be like super strong. So I thank you all for listening in, and I hope that you experiment with some of these herbs. And if you have any questions, please ask, and like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much.